Dave, you're up first for 5 minutes. TKM, yeah. That's all you get. You knocked everything off, so you only get 5 minutes. All right, so we are returning from executive session. Could I have a roll call, please?
Joe Shank, President.
Chaz Sexton Duranian present.
Veronica Kell present. Do we need to make the motion again, or can I just report on it?
No, you can report it.
During executive session, I'm happy to report that we voted unanimously to accept the tentative agreements with the town's AFSCME unions, so that's the clerical, supervisors, highway, water, and police unions. So it's a result of executive session. All right, with that, we have an 8 o'clock appointment with TCAN. A lot of the things got removed. We'll bring them back at a later date, but we invited Dave to report on the owl. And I think I put in the SharePoint the picture of the owl, didn't I? I did. Or did I just, no.
No,
I
the
didn't.
link. We had the link.
You have to go to the link for it. Okay, so Dave, you're on.
Okay, yeah, no, that was a piece of equipment that, like you said earlier, you happened to stumble into us test firing it. That piece of equipment that you saw belongs to Pepperell. They've been using it for a little while now, off and on. And they introduced it up to the selectmen in Brookline, New Hampshire, who saw it for about 10 minutes and said, get us one of those. So it is a nifty piece of equipment. It is compatible with most sharing softwares like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, etc. But it allows you to conduct the meeting here, like you'd put it in the center table there. It's got a 360-degree camera with a little bit of voice recognition. So, for instance, Chaz, if you started talking, it would bring the focus over to you, pop open a window on a laptop. If Veronica then said, hey, Chaz, wait a sec, it would swing over to her, pop open a window for her, and it would open multiple windows for multiple speakers at the meeting. So somebody like, say, Joe is out in Arizona or whatever, he'd be able to zoom in, and as soon as he spoke, the owl would then pop open a window for him, and it would look just like a Zoom meeting, like everybody was sitting in the same place at the same time. It is a neat piece of equipment. We're looking into the possibility of potentially buying one, but we need to know from the state what their rules and regs are for open meeting law. Would that count the same as if, you know, one of you are out in Arizona and you were to call in to attend the meeting? Would we be able to, well, we would be able to use this piece of equipment to facilitate it, but would the state allow that? So.
What I like about it is if we can have a Zoom link. I mean, people have gotten used to attending meetings on Zoom. And we could have one machine up on Zoom,
Yeah.
and the owl is there. We're having the meeting just like usual. We're ignoring the Zoom,
Yeah.
and it's spinning around. It was really cool.
Yeah.
It
Well,
would
I
spin
think
around.
it is a really good idea because of the fact that a lot of people can't make it in. And if that technology was being used and they were on Zoom, we would have the ability to interact with them from home while we're still being live here. So that allows that piece of equipment, I think, is very, very important. Not only for just a selectmen's meeting, but if we had a public hearing, there are some times that from the planning board, some people wanted to be there and they couldn't be there, but they wanted to put their input in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as the legal, and that's what we have counsel for, we can talk with counsel in regards to.
I really don't think there'd be a problem, but I would like to make sure so that way all the bases are covered, just in case there is some issue we're not aware of. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll ask my question when you're done.
No, I was going to say, I don't see it being a problem is it's been around a little while and it's used for conferencing purposes. So it's in general use. I'd like to think our state government is aware that something like that exists and could be used and shouldn't be a problem. Like I said, in the past, it's allowable under OML as long as a majority of the board is at the same place at the same time, a third or fourth person can phone in or some other method of joining the meeting, and it's considered kosher under OML, so I don't see why this unit wouldn't be, but
Are
we
you-
need to investigate.
Yeah, are you able to maintain the Zoom link and put it on Channel 9?
That's another thing that we would have to investigate. I think we would be able to, but what it would end up being is Hartley would have to be the host of the meeting in there
Zoom.
rather than one of, the attendees physically at the meeting being the host of the Zoom meeting. So it's doable.
Yeah. Just
it's just-
logistically, you gotta figure it out.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Keep us posted.
Okay.
Yes,
I have a question,
yes.
with this owl.
Yeah.
Do all committees or all boards have to have Zoom meetings? Let's say, let's go and stay with the flag committee. Do they have
We
to-
are not allowed to have Zoom meetings anymore by open meeting law. We have to be meeting here, just like we used to in the olden days, before COVID. We have to meet here now because the emergency order was lifted. So what allowed us to do Zoom meetings was the emergency order. And now that it's lifted, we have to go back to Mass General Law for open meetings. So we are
We
here.
have to be here.
So all meetings of all committees now have to be open,
And
which
in
means,
person.
and in person,
Yeah.
correct. Just like in the past. So this is a way to get people, this all thing is a way, we would still need to be here. That's just all there is to it. But we've been having a lot of people attend our meetings, which is really, really nice, you know?
Large numbers.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is a way for people still to be able to attend from home. You all don't have to be here, to participate. It doesn't say, well, we need to be here,
Yeah.
but you don't.
You would have
So-
the option to come in person and
Yeah.
participate, or
Or you could
like some of the
Zoom in.
seniors or other people that may be shut-ins that would really like to continue monitoring what the government's doing. This would be a perfect device to allow them to continue to participate remotely, but it wouldn't take over the meeting the same way a Zoom meeting would be involved. So,
And we can't all be on Zoom at the same time in this room.
Right.
It's a little not good.
Yeah.
Easy
From
enough.
a-
Thank you.
Yeah, so, anyway, thank you, Dave.
Okay,
All right, so 8:15 meeting, we're still 5 minutes off, but we've recovered well, considering. Appointment with TESA regarding the lease agreement. So are you Gary?
I'm Gary.
Hi. So let me pull my documents up, which you can't see, but I can.
I have some copies.
So I have several things here. I have a lease agreement, Exhibit A, Exhibit B. I thought I put a letter in here too. The scan, I think, that's from a year ago when the Board of Selectmen voted on it.
Right. The fourth thing was the letter that you sent in September saying that you approved us to proceed with
Right.
looking to do improvements.
But I thought I had another letter. Let me go to my, I received a letter which you haven't seen. And apparently you guys haven't seen it yet either,
What's
which
that?
it was requested to be read into the record. Emily Fine. So just give me a minute to do that. All right, so let's get started while I'm looking for this. All right, so as far as the lease agreement goes, it's true that you all came to us last year. This is the letter, I suppose.
Mhm.
And you had some ideas for expanding the field.
Mhm.
And what you were looking for was guidance from us. Could it be done under the lease agreement?
Correct.
And do you want me to read the letter that we wrote afterwards? Should I do that?
Sure.
Just so it's in the record. So this was from the Board of Selectmen to Matt Crean. Is he here?
He was our former president.
Former president, okay. Dear Mr. Crean, please accept, this was from September 17th, 2020. Please accept this letter as approval by the Board of Selectmen at their meeting on September 15th, 2020 of the proposed site plan as submitted and incorporate therein. The vote of the board is as below. Ms. Cal moved, that's me, to approve the plan contingent upon TESA getting all the local permits and approvals and orders of condition or whatever is required to have the project move forward. The vote of the board was unanimous. On behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I appreciate the efforts of the Townsend Ashby Youth Soccer Association to improve the property for the benefit of young athletes. Respectfully, James Crigan. So what I understand, so what this said is you could do any work that was approved.
Correct.
So, and we all know that it has to go for an HESP or MISA approval.
MISA approval, correct.
So that's what we were saying. We were saying, you know, we are fine with it.
Mhm.
So now the lease is up.
At the
Don
end-
Klein had
at the end of this
said,
month,
yeah, at the end of June, the lease is up. So what we need to do is look at the lease agreement, and that is what we're looking at tonight.
Mhm.
Not the plans or not the improvements or anything. You all had sent us a letter, which is
Mhm.
why we met on June 8th, saying that NHESP had recommended a CR be put on the property, or had suggested it.
Suggested that possibly, yes.
Yeah, which isn't a bad idea, but it really isn't part of the lease unless we're putting words like that in the lease. So I guess what I want to do is have you explain to us the difference in the lease agreement between what it was and before, and I know it's redlined. So can we start there?
Sure, we can do that. So when we were meeting with the NHESB, Natural Heritage, as they knew that we would be pursuing a new plan, they reviewed our lease to make sure that if there were anything additional any additional verbiage to add to the lease, to make sure that that we were making sure that we were ensuring we were covered for what they wanted to do. So a lot of the updates that were redlined in here are extra wording, basically to say that we have to have either their approval or the Conservation Committee as if they're responsible. So basically on the first part of the lease, there's some date updates. So basically we're looking to extend it for the same way that the lease was written before, which is 10 years from July 1st, and the same thing where we're looking to be able to extend it by five years at the end of that, with a simple approval like we did before. We ended up keeping using the fields for 15 years. We did the original lease in 2006.
Okay.
So in the premises area, basically, it just talks. The additional wording was the environmental sensitive conservation area, just making sure that it's specified that this lease, that our land has that on it.
It was specific language Natural Heritage asked to have included.
correct.
Under utilities.
Under utilities, the extra language, in the original lease, it basically said that that the installation of, could be done just by written consent of the landlord. They wanted additional language that said, and NHESHP and Townsend Conservation Committee, if within the Conservation Committee's jurisdiction. So everywhere where it says approved by the landlord, they wanted us to additionally add and Natural Heritage and the Conservation Commission, if it's within their jurisdiction. So that was the two additions in the utilities area. In the prohibited activities, we added in cooperation, and added the Conservation Commission.
So I'm just gonna read this. Prohibited activities, tenant acknowledges and agrees that the restricted area shall not be used or developed for the permitted purposes or for any other purpose or use. Rather, tenant agrees to maintain the restricted area in its open, natural, and undeveloped condition in cooperation with NHESP and the Conservation Commission.
Correct.
I have one question before we go through this. Can I do that, or do you guys want to go through the whole lease
No,
first?
go ahead.
Have you met with the Conservation Commission? Have they agreed to this language?
We haven't.
have not.
We have not.
Okay, all right. So going on, let's go on with the changes.
Okay. In the operation of the premises, there was language that needed to be added to make sure that we weren't using it during the wintertime. So basically, in the first part, it says tenants shall have the right to use the premises at all times during the term of the lease. Notwithstanding the foregoing, tenant agrees to schedule in advance expected uses of premises once the snow melts until the first fall snows, anticipated to be April 1st through November 30th of each lease term year. So they wanted to absolutely ensure that we weren't trying to use the fields before they were, anytime when there was snow on the ground. So that was that addition to,
Is that right? Tenant agrees to schedule in advance its expected use of the premises from once the snow melts, that means like April 1st,
mhm, until the first fall snows,
which is November.
which, well, it
It
could be,
depends.
it could be Halloween here in New
Anticipated.
England.
So you will schedule the use from April 1st to the end of November.
Right.
That's our anticipated season. Is
Okay,
April
all
1
right.
to November 30th. But the next sentence actually says, we will inform the board, the selectmen, around March 1 of each calendar year, what our actual season will be, depending on the weather. And also, we're part of the Neshoba Valley Youth Soccer League, so they also dictate our schedule as far as games and such. So we'll have a better idea.
All right, okay, thank you. 5.5, use by organized groups and for organized events.
So the premises may be used by organized groups for community events during the off-season by providing the tenant and the Townsend Conservation Commission within 14 days prior written notice.
You are the tenant, right?
Yes, we are the tenant. Wait, providing, yes, we are the tenant.
This is used by other groups other than the Townsend Ashby Youth Soccer Association. So the current lease, as it reads, allows for others to use the property. And they're supposed to notify Townsend Ashby
Yeah.
Youth Soccer as the tenant and the town, but we've also just included the Townsend Conservation Commission if their activities would be within the Townsend Conservation Commission's jurisdiction.
I think if you haven't talked to the Conservation Commission, I'm wondering if that should say the Board of Selectmen. as opposed to the Conservation Commission. I feel like this is directing responsibilities to the Conservation Commission that they aren't aware that they are getting, is my concern there. Go ahead, Chaz, sorry.
First off, my comments are, I'm not against youth sports or anything like that. All right? I'm a businessman, all right, and contracts are something that I kind of know a lot about here. The town can't enter into a contract and name another board or committee. It's the town or the Board of Selectmen that enter into an agreement with another party.
Okay.
My concern is that having a board or a committee in a lease agreement is, we need to definitely talk to town council, but I don't think it's right. I don't think that another board or committee should be named in a lease agreement. This is a binding agreement between the town and
And the
your
town.
organization, and not with another part of ours.
Okay.
That's like you and me coming to an agreement and my brother or sister saying, hey, wait a minute. You know what I mean? It doesn't work right. That's number one. Number two is, I know that before we had a 10-year lease with a 5-year renewable clause on it. We've had a lot of problems in the past with that, and I understand we're not talking a lot of money here, actually, pretty much next to nothing, but, I think that there needs to be some more accountability to the town in regards to, what's gonna happen in these 15 years. How is the property gonna be taken up? I don't see that in the current agreement. I do not believe that if there is a conservation issue on there, I think it would be the Board of Selectmen that would need to make sure that it was taken care of, as opposed to going directly to a board or committee, because we're the one that's entering into the agreement with you. And I think that's a point of law. So, again, it's just kind of nitty gritty. I understand that we can have it worded without having to name it. We can say that we have to go through the proper permitting year or whatever. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not negating. I'm just saying that we need to make sure that the agreement is between you and the town, and not named at any other board.
And I don't think Tisa has an issue with that. We were trying to, Natural Heritage gave us some feedback.
Yep.
We were trying to incorporate their feedback into the lease as best as possible. But clearly, if that's not a correct avenue to include them, then that's fine.
Like I said, I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying that naming them takes the onus off of who the agreement is for.
Sure, yeah.
That's my only concern.
As a board, we're signing into the lease with you, the three of us, any other board down the road. So if you throw the conservation into it, well, they may disagree with what we think, and
That
it
opens up a whole new
really
can of worms.
muddies the water.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, I think putting in, provided the correct permits are obtained,
Yep.
covers that aspect of it sufficiently.
Yeah. But those are my comments, and that kind of clears up a lot of the other questions that I think are that I've had in regards to what the agreement is. As far as the term is concerned, it's something that we can talk about. It's not a sticking point with me, but I just, again, we've had problems with long-term leases in this town, and I don't want people to think that we're going down that avenue again.
I want to look at I agree with Chaz and Joe, as far as the Conservation Commission. I think we have to look at that wording and see what we want there. I mean, but I'm looking at the improvements piece,
Yep. 6.1.
6.1, right?
Yep.
To me, it reads as if we have given permission for Exhibit B, and we haven't. We can't. I mean, we can say what we said in the letter. It's okay, you can make changes or add the field, but you need to get the proper things. To me, this says tenant may improve and development the premises at its sole cost and expense, we're good with that part, in accordance with the development plan attached here too as Exhibit B
Mhm.
and incorporated herein, or any other development plan approved by the Board of Selectmen. To me, this doesn't say exactly what it was that we were saying.
Right.
And so I would want council to review this. We're not saying you definitely can't do anything.
Mhm.
We're not saying that at all. It's just the wording that allows the improvements. Because what we really want you to do is go through the permitting process and get the permits that you need.
Right.
Mhm.
And that would determine, we can't really say, oh yeah, put the field there, we can't
Right.
do that.
Right.
But the permitting process is where that would be determined.
Right, so it should be something probably simpler, like in accordance with the development plan approved by the Board of Selectmen. Like,
Well, we didn't really approve a development plan.
Right.
I mean, we
'Cause it's all
approved
contingent
the
upon
right
permitting.
to, I
Okay,
felt
right,
in the
right.
motion that we made last September, we approved the right to go ahead and get your permits.
Mhm.
If, you can do whatever's permitted. We didn't know whether that picture was okay or not okay.
right,
So
right.
when we're in the permitting process, so we do have a draft of the MISA filing, which we're looking at submitting to Natural Heritage, provided obviously, we obtain a new lease, essentially. During that process, are you interested in having TASA file simultaneously a copy of that filing so you can look at the development plan? Or do you want to look at that development plan in advance of us filing with Natural Heritage?
We would be, whatever you're requesting for a permit, we would allow that board or committee to make their own decision. We would be accepting of whatever that board or committee, that's what their job is, I couldn't tell you where to put a piece of furniture if I'm not an interior designer, you know what I mean? But I believe that the permitting process is enough outlined so that they would be able to, at the final project, if they're agreeing with it, they do what's called a mandatory referral, and they send it out to all of us, and we would be part of that, seeing it,
Right.
so, I
If it
don't-
were a building and we're going, if it had to go before the planning board or the building department or if it's a parking area, planning. That's the permitting that we would look at. Over and above the MISA, that would be part of it too, because it is priority habitat, so.
So to answer your question, we would see it anyway as standard procedure of the permitting process. We would have eyes on that beforehand.
So the improvement sections really needs to be just simplified into saying that we need to obtain permits. The 6.2, which is permits and work, specifies that we have to procure all necessary permits.
Yep.
And I think that this was a miss on my part, our part. This improvement section was when we had an approved plan for when we got our original lease.
Yes.
Some of the wording is left over from that original lease that needs to be cleaned up.
That makes sense.
That's
So
what happened. 'Cause-
definitely 6.1,
Yeah, yeah, okay.
6.2, I'm not opposed to that wording, really. Maintenance of the premises. So given that there's endangered, so 7.1, did you guys have anything else to say in
Nope,
that?
didn't have
That was
any
fine.
problems with
Okay.
it.
In 7.1, is there anything in here that, given that there are endangered species, is there anything in here that specifies whether or not lawn care or field work is organic?
So there is a section on herbicides. And prior to mowing, Natural Heritage does want us to walk the fields to mow.
Yes, yeah.
So that is something that will occur, and then, so section 5.15 talks about fertilizers, and the language
We did
is.
just kind of skip over that. How did I miss that? Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was a whole section that was asked to be added specifically about that topic.
So fertilizers, as necessary, tenants shall use herbicides. The minimum amount and least toxic herbicide will be used for the desired outcome. No fertilizers, pesticides, or herbicides of any kind shall be permitted in the restricted area unless agreed to in writing prior to application, unless agreed to in writing by NHESP prior to application. NHESP is not, I would move those words, the
Mhm.
by to
So-
agree to in writing by NHESP prior to application. So NHESP is not applying the,
I wonder if the fertilizer probably should be moved into the, well, it could be in the maintenance section as
yeah,
well.
it's the maintenance section,
I
yeah,
think it was in section 515, so we just left it there
yeah.
from the previous agreement and updated it based on discussions with natural heritage.
Jennifer?
So that's a change, excuse me, from the former lease, because in the former lease agreement, there were only organic products that were to be used on the fields, as well as no herbicides or pesticides.
Gary, do you have the
So-
I do. Let me find it. I sent it to, there was a
I
public
think the
records
Conservation
request for it.
Commission was pretty adamant about that in the past.
Filed it in PR.
And was that specifically discussed with, either the commission or with, NHESP?
It has been discussed with Natural Heritage. It has not been discussed with the Conservation Commission, because the area in which we'd be applying the herbicides are not within the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction.
But
So
you,
it's outside of resource areas.
but you do have nesting sometimes, and you do have hatchling baby turtles.
Yeah, on the soccer fields?
They've been
On
found
the
there in
soccer
the
fields?
past. Oh, yeah. They don't know where the lines are.
We need to do something about that.
Well, we should put up a fence.
That was discussed in the past 20
Okay.
years.
So would it be in section 15?
I have the old lease. The old lease reads, tenant shall use only organic and biodegradable fertilizers and pesticides on premises. No fertilizers or pesticides of any kind shall be permitted in the restricted area. So the last is,
But there's no mention of herbicides.
no, the new language, was taken from a publication that Natural Heritage has and was in agreement based on discussions with them.
But I would think that the fertilizing of natural fertilizers should stay if it was originally in the lease for all those years. So now, I think we as a board took a vote a while back of all the town properties to go to, a natural fertilizer instead of the pesticide. So, my opinion, I think if it's in that sensitive of an area, I think it'd be the only right thing to do is make sure we protect any kind of wildlife that's out there.
The other thing,
Yes, go ahead.
the other thing to consider on this site is that when the sand was excavated and removed in the past, they went down to groundwater. And in the far end of the sand pit, in the restricted area on the far end, in fact, they created a small vernal pool. And there's often wet areas at certain times a year. So you're very close to groundwater, and that would be probably another reason that you would want to be very careful on what's applied.
Mhm. All right,
So what you're saying is it's very close to groundwater in that area.
Yeah, well, on the far, I mean, I don't know how close they are where the fields actually are. But you get beyond field two,
Mhm.
and there's areas where you're down to groundwater practically. That was discussed at length, and that's when some of the digging had to be stopped.
Mhm.
There's no activities beyond field two currently or proposed.
No, I know you're not, I know you're not. And to give you guys credit, NHESP is very pleased with TESA. They're very,
That's
I got feedback from them that, they really, really appreciate that you're doing a draft, that you've come to them, and that you're working with them in a very positive way, so they are happy with TESA.
Good, glad to hear,
So thank you.
So what I can
As
do-
are we.
So I've written this down as another section to re-review with NHESP again, with the original, look at the original wording, look at the current wording, look at what they have as part of the current standard for, for protected areas. And so we'll review this again with them, this section again with them as well.
And what we can do is go to town council and see what they recommend as far as doing the spirit of what you want to do, but without directing another board.
Right.
So we'll see what they can
So
put in
you're,
there.
you're okay with the language about having natural heritage written consent? The language that
Yeah.
is the problem here is including Conservation Commission additionally.
That is correct.
Okay.
Anytime that you name another board or commission,
Mhm.
you're setting up for controversy between two boards, and
Gotcha.
it's, you know, a board or committee of the town per charter cannot enter into a contract agreement with anybody else. It has to be the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, that's fair. Was there anything, insurance? This
I
is all
think
the
the
same.
rest of it was pretty much.
Yeah, I
It's all the
didn't
same.
really.
Yeah, the maintenance of the restricted area, 7.2. And shall maintain the restricted area in its natural and undeveloped condition in cooperation with and as prescribed by NHESP, and in compliance with all other applicable federal, state, and local laws and regulations and bylaws, including all applicable rules and regulations of the Townsend Conservation Commission. Those are bylaws, not, we aren't directing the Conservation Commission there. Maintenance of the restricted area shall be conducted in accordance with the MOA by and between the town of Townsend, acting by and through the Board of Selectmen, TESA, and NHESP, attached as Exhibit B.
Right, so we originally were going to be working with Natural Heritage to develop a memorandum of agreement as part of the MISA process. But based on latest discussions, they thought we don't need to actually have a memorandum of agreement. We'll just have our lease with the town, and then we'll receive our permit or approval from Natural Heritage. So that would really just be maintenance in accordance with the lease agreement, essentially.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
And you can include, if you'd like to as well, the lease agreement and approvals from Natural Heritage to cover that component of it.
Okay. All right, then I say we have a little bit more of work to
To
do
do,
before it's
yeah.
settled. I mean, if worse comes to worse, and we don't have the language all settled by our next meeting in 2 weeks, we have a meeting on the 29th, would you be amenable to us extending the current lease for, say, 30 days or something like that to get the language settled?
Absolutely, so that was one question I was asked, is if we don't make it, what happens?
Well,
Be-
that, you
And
know.
it's something that I considered too, and I was willing to throw a motion to the board of 60, 90 days until we can nail it down, so,
Yeah,
I mean,
given
we're,
the summer, I was wondering if we could maybe do it through August.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
I don't-
I'm okay with that.
Just with vacations or I don't, you know.
Right,
I just think we should make tonight so that we don't have to rush to do any of this, you know, council. We're all gonna be vacations, everyone's gonna be vacations. Let's just give a temporary extension to the lease that we have for 90 days. And then everybody, we, as the board, gets council's approval. They come back with their different documents, and then we sign off and move
Well,
on.
that would certainly
I
be easier
would-
for us
yeah.
Yeah,
right now.
well, we've got a lot of things on our plate, you know, and if we can just, you know, not to try to kick the can down the road,
Right,
but
Right,
this
right.
isn't life-threatening. We have some irons in the fire that really need to be put out.
Right,
And-
We have a platter, not a plate.
Well, and if that's amenable to you guys, I think if we,
That would be great,
Okay,
because,
so we're gonna need a letter, extending. Jennifer, do you have a question?
I have a question about the lease. Do you have the GPS coordinates on the different areas? Because I know there's been a question about the mowing on Field 2. And many years ago, when Jack Stonefield and Michelle Cannon were on the Conservation Commission, as I was, Jack went down with a couple other commissioners and dug in a cobble. And of course, in the winter, it got thrown up and eventually over the years. But the question always seems to come up, are what are the GPS coordinates? And I think they are in the office and certainly should be somewhere in the conservation files.
You mean like the perimeter coordinates for the fields?
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I think that, well, in the premises, it literally just talks about the map, blocks and lots as recorded in the Book of Registry of Deeds. It doesn't have GPS coordinates spelled out
They
here.
should be there. And also, a number of years ago, Emily Fine and I sat with the past president, vice president, when Joe was president. And we put together a memorandum of understanding that you should have a copy of somewhere in your files. And I believe there may be coordinates in there. I mean, we went through line by line on the lease, which,
So you're looking to potentially add the GPS coordinates of the restricted area, of the lot in the
Well-
restricted area in the lease itself?
I think it should be
Hmm.
somewhere. I think that there should be, I mean, otherwise you have a map of what does it mean.
Yeah, this is not a
Or
very,
you-
this is not a very clear exhibit, but.
Right.
The new engineering plans, actually, we do have an engineering company that's assisting us with the potential development that we're looking at, which is
just do 90 days.
creating new fields near Field 1, which is closest to Mason Road, to
Yeah.
keep more activity on that side. And I believe the engineering company, they did go out and do survey work, so there may be coordinates on there. And Field 2 is on that plan as well, so we can check that plan, Gary,
Yeah.
from Whitman and Bingham.
And there, it should be in the files, should be in the conservation files. And I don't know how far back it would go for.
Okay.
The Board of Selectmen.
List of stuff to look at while we.
And if you don't find the copy, like the memorandum of understanding that we put together, Emily Fine might be able to get a copy.
Okay.
Okay, so what I have here, just pass down, is the lease extension for the 5-year term from 2016 to 21. So we're gonna, for our wording, well, I'll let you make the motion, and then we'll just kind of copy that same wording. I'll
You
read it
just
to
put
you.
in the right dates and,
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
should I just read it right now?
yeah, you can.
Dear Mr. Sameo, so this is the lease extension for November 19th, 2014, and it was Joe Sameo?
He was the past
Okay.
president.
Pass.
Dear Mr. Sameo, thank you for attending the Board of Selectmen meeting on November 18th, 2014 to discuss the extension of the lease of Squanicook Meadows. Please let this letter confirm the vote of the Board of Selectmen approving the 5-year extension of the lease, but ours won't be 5 years.
Yep.
Voted that the Board of Selectmen issue written consent to extend the lease for an additional 5 years to expire on June 30th, 2021, which is why we're here, as outlined in Section 2 term of the lease agreement between the Town of Townsend and the Townsend Ashby Youth Soccer Association. We'll have to change that language a little bit, maybe.
A little bit, but that's.
And we'll just do
But this
for
gives
90
me
days.
please contact me if you have any questions, and it was from Andrew Sheehan, who was the town administrator at the time. So,
I'm amenable
is
to
there a
that.
motion?
Madam Chair, I motion to extend the current lease agreement with TESA for 90 days or until a new lease agreement is reached between the two parties.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
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 Oh,
We don't have to say our
that's
names
right, we don't have to say
anymore.
names no more.
So, Gary, we'll just keep the communication going from you to the board and
Yep. Yep.
we'll provide you with a next.
Yeah, if you have a draft before the 90 days and you want to send it in, and, you know, we can.
We have a lawyer on call to actually do some wording, so we'll probably have time to actually use him.
Okay.
That's good.
So we'll
All right.
do that, and we have all the things that we have to work on. And then we'll try to funnel a new copy as soon as we can and go as soon as we can.
All right.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Don't say your name no more. Not used to that.
Thank you, everybody. All right, with that, we're going to move on to appointments of officials and personnel. One thing I want to say on this, I have an email. The
He's
question,
not getting reappointed, right?
pardon me?
Is he not getting reappointed, right? Yeah,
no.
because he's ill.
Right,
Mhm.
I have a, let me get my email up
Mhm.
here. So I just wanted to, I didn't want to read it if, why isn't this moving anymore?
He's going well.
It's had it, it's done with me.
You've overheated it, you
I'm
ruined it. Meeting's done.
The meeting is done.
Meeting's done, all better.
That could be it. All right. Anyway, just don't reappoint.
Yeah,
I got a
just
letter
don't.
saying that he had received the resignation.
Yeah, so just don't
Okay.
do that one, you put that in. Okay,
All right.
we're good.
All right, so moving on to 3.1, do I have an emotion,
And a motion, yeah, we
a
allow it.
motion to appoint Hannah Rigney as a firefighter EMS?
I move that we appoint Hannah Rigney as a firefighter EMS, subject to a query check and medical exam and a 1-year probationary period.
Is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, congratulations, Hannah. All right,
I thought he would've been
3.2.
here. This would have been something to have him here, but it's okay.
Could I have a motion to approve the appointment / promotion of Sergeant George Reedy from patrolman to sergeant?
I move that we approve the appointment / promotion of Sergeant George Reedy from patrolman to sergeant effective May 1st, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
yes.
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 Congratulations, George.
Congratulations. And Chief Sartell said that farther down the road, he would like to be invited for a
For
more
a formal,
formal.
that would be much, that'd be very
So,
nice.
but not on our first open meeting.
Yeah,
for
we're doing
quite
good
some
so
time.
far.
Yes, so far. All right. So the next is 3.3, reappoint as full-time officers to the Townsend Police Department for the following year.
Madam Chair, I move that we reappoint as full-time officers to the Townsend Police Department for the period of 7/1/2021 to 6/30/2022 in accordance with Chapter 41, Section 97A of the Massachusetts General Law. James Sartell, Chief, Mark Giancotti, Lieutenant, Christopher Peach, Lieutenant, Kimberly Matson, Sergeant, George Reedy, Sergeant, Mark Francis, David Phillips, Jeffrey Giles, Michael Marchand, Christopher Lowe, Eric Modica, Christopher Tucker, Paul Theodulu, and Dylan Silvestri as officers.
Is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, moving on to 3.4, reappointments of reserve officers to the Townsend Police Department.
Madam Chair, I move that we reappoint as reserve officers to the Townsend Police Department for a period of 7/1/2021 to 6/30/2022 in accordance with Chapter 41, Section 97A of the Massachusetts General Laws. Tony Brennan, Christopher Van Voorhis, and Austin Cody.
Second,
All those in favor?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, moving on to 3.5, reappoint as Chief of Police to the Townsend Police Department, Keeper of the Lockup, and Agent for the Licensing Authority.
I move that we reappoint as Chief of Police to the Townsend Police Department, Keeper of the Lockup, and Agent for the Licensing Authority for the period of 7/1/2021 to 6/30/2022 in accordance with Chapter 40, Section 35 of the Massachusetts General Laws. Chief James P. Sartell.
Second,
All those in favor?
yes.
Yes.
Veronica Kell, yes. All right, I said my name, sorry. Moving on to 3.6, appoint as agents for the licensing authority for the next year. Is there a motion?
I move that we appoint as agents for the licensing authority for the period of 7/1/2021 to 6/30/22 in accordance with Chapter 40, Section 35 of the Mass General Laws, Mark Giancotti and Christopher Peach, Lieutenant.
Second,
All those in favor?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. 3.7, reappointment of the Animal Control Officer for the Townsend Police Department.
I move that we reappoint as Animal Control Officer for the Townsend Police Department for the period of 7/1/2021 to 6/30/2022 in accordance with Chapter 40, Section 35 of the Massachusetts General Laws. Mary Letourneau.
Second,
All those in favor?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. 3.8, appoint as parking clerk attendant.
I move that we appoint as parking clerk attendant for the period of 7/1/2021 to 6/30/2022 in accordance with Chapter 41, Section 97A of the Mass General Laws, Kathleen Spofford.
Second,
All those in favor?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. 3.9, appointment of special police officers.
If it pleases the chair, I would like to name the police department, and we can attach the names of the officers to our minutes.
Excellent.
Okay. I move that we appoint as special police officers for the Townsend Police Department for the period of 7/1/2021 to 6/30/2022 the following list of officers from the Lunenburg Police Department, Pepperell Police Department, Ashby Police Department, Shirley Police Department, Groton Police Department, Air Police Department, and Dunstable Police Department.
Second,
All those in favor?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, that's it for our appointments.
Wow.
Congratulations, everyone. All right, next is meeting business, the Energy Committee. Recommended that we discuss the Energy Master Plan, the Energy Aggregation, and the Green Communities Regional Energy Planning Assistant Grant. Is there anybody here from the Energy Committee?
Not me.
No one. All right, so, I
Should
didn't
we,
give them a
should we
time.
put this on a further agenda? Because I'd like to talk with somebody from the Energy Committee.
Yeah, I would too. Let me get to my emails. The only question that I have is that, the Regional Energy Planning Assistance Grant
Yep.
is time sensitive.
Correct.
So give me a second. So the Energy Master Plan, I do think we should review that, maybe not tonight. And, but I did look at it, and I think it's a good idea.
I'm very impressed with all of this.
And the energy aggregation, I'm the liaison for the Energy Committee, and I attended the presentation. This was back in, I
February.
want to say January, was it February?
February 2021.
And I really liked it,
Mhm.
so I think that warrants further discussion by the board. And then green communities, all right, so this
I would
is-
like to know what we as a board can do to get this in motion.
All right, so this was sent to me Wednesday, 6/9, so this was last week, Wednesday. Hi, Veronica. The Energy Committee unanimously supported the following motion tonight regarding the MRPC grant application. Please let us know if you have any questions. Brent. Energy Committee motion. Recommend that the Board of Selectmen enter into an agreement to take part in MRPC's application for a Regional Energy Program Assistance, Technical Assistance Grant application through the Mass Department of Energy Resources. We further recommend that Townsend indicate to MRPC its hope to take part in the following grant-funded activities: the Green Communities Annual Reporting, the Green Communities Competitive Grant Applications, and the development of a net zero emissions plan for the Energy Committee's upcoming work on a possible energy master plan.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if we could have a motion that allows us to vote on the town being part of the application for the Regional Energy Program Assistance.
Yep.
Which is how we've gotten all the support that we've gotten for the buildings, et cetera. So could we do that tonight, do you think?
Yes.
And then discuss the master plan and the energy aggregation. I will put them on on the 29th at a specific time.
So we're looking to vote on the town partnering with MRPC to apply for,
The Regional Energy Planning Assistance Grant. I'm gonna give you this motion here first.
regional what?
Regional Energy Planning Assistance Grant.
I'm ready for a motion. I move to vote that the town partner with MRPC to apply for the Regional Energy Planning Assistance Grant.
Second,
All those in favor?
yes.
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 So could we, or do you want us, you're the liaison for the Energy Committee?
I am.
Do you want to reach out and find out when it's good for them, and we'll just get
I
it
will
on
do that.
whatever they're.
So we have a motion on this. All right. Sorry, I have to write things.
I think this is the kind of planning that we need to see more of
Mhm.
going forward. We have an energy plan that they've been working on. We have a water plan, a 10-year water plan that they're working on.
That's
And
good.
I'd like to see the master plan for the town move forward as well. I'd like to get that signed, sealed, and delivered as well.
I would like the master plan done, and I would also like an ADA plan done.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's our next big project, I think.
Right, so, all right, thank you. All right, I will reach out to the energy, I'll let them know our vote on this. And I will, All right, next on the agenda, are we ready to move on?
Yeah, sure.
5.1, Town Administration Updates and Reports. So 5.1.1 is the Town Flag Committee. Everybody's here to discuss the Flag Committee and their mission. I know that in doing the budgeting process, we had noticed that the Flag Committee wasn't meeting, we, the board, and that there was a $7,500 budget. So I believe we cut the budget, and I have to $2,000 for next year, because we were curious as to why we were funding a committee that never met. And so, I think that's why we're all here to talk. So, I know Karen, but I don't know anybody else.
My name's Todd Arsenault, I'm actually the chairman of the flag committee. I had no idea what happened to me this evening, so it was a luck of a draw that I called you this morning.
Yeah, you did, we did talk this morning, so, yeah, it was on the agenda. So it seemed like it was a good time to talk, and it had been requested that we have this meeting because people in town would like to see flags up for holidays that would seem that it would be a good thing to have flags up. So, go ahead, Joe.
Well, I guess I'll have a couple questions. There's been a lot of talk about the flags, and myself as well, as, you know, the flags have been up for many years. I've had the opportunity to speak with Roger, back a while back, they used to do the flags through the parks and cemetery. Then I heard that they didn't do it right. I don't know how you not do putting up flags right or whatever, but, you know, I think it was more personnel problems than anything. I've said this and I'll say it again, we as a community, we all need to start working together a little bit better. I, sitting here, have really seen some things that have been changing that I don't understand why we're making some of the decisions that some of the prior boards have made. They may have their reasons, but I think the flags really mean a lot to the community, mean a lot to the veterans, and we have a lot of veterans in our community. So I don't know exactly where the falling apart of this has happened, that nobody's doing flags. I don't know exactly who should be held accountable for it. But if flag committee's sitting here, I think we need some kind of explanation so that we can at least, when people ask us as a board, we can at least know what we're talking about.
So you're right. So it used to be a town entity, unity.
Mm-hmm.
They all get together and hang flags, this way, that way, and the other way. 2019, you're right, somebody said somebody wasn't doing the flags correctly. They said it was an OSHA issue, there was safety protocol not in place. At that time, the flag committee fell apart, there was no more flag committee. The reason I got involved, because I was a scoutmaster of the troop here in town, and they asked me if I could have my scouts climb off ladders, hang flags off the telephone poles. I said, I don't think I can, absolutely not, but next thing you know, I'm sitting in the seat, and I'm now the commissioner of this new flag committee, and I have two committee members. One is a senior down at Atwood Acres, and the other one is a disabled veteran. I have two committee members. We went through the process, we got some stuff, we became a town-approved board, you guys approved us, gave us a budget, started to work out pretty well. I tried to get committee members, I tried to get people on board, I tried to get people to come and help out to get things done. I can't get anybody to come in the room. Never mind, hang flags, I can't get anybody to help us out. So you're right, we're not having meetings because I can't hold the quorum. We started off very well. We had grade intent, I had Asplin running around town. They were nice enough, donated their time and energy and hung the flags. But then COVID hit. Can't have meetings, nobody wants to help out the town. Not to mention the town's pretty toxic, and every time you mention Townsend, nobody wants to do anything for Townsend. So now I'm in the predicament, that's why I called you this morning, Ms. Gels, because I wanna know the legal safety way wise, how do we hang flags in Townsend properly?
Can
Do we have to obtain OSHA standards? Do we, I know we can't hang off
Well,
flags.
I would like the
All
board
right.
members to weigh in, so Chaz.
I agree with you that there is a breakdown. I've done a little bit of research on what had happened, and I can see that dating back to November 17th of 2016 is when the breakdown occurred. I am, part of the reason why I ran as selectman is that I'm not gonna look at what happened before, I'm looking at what's going forward. From what I have looked at, if we can get, again, a partnership between the Parks and Cemetery and the Flag Committee, I think we can remedy some of the situation rather quickly, at least that's what I see. So I'd like to look at solutions right now as opposed to looking at what had happened in the past. We missed Flag Day, which was yesterday, and I'd like to be able to see what we can do to get the flags up for 4th of July. Having said that, I'd like to be able to talk with Parks and Cemetery, with Mr. Raposa, and find out exactly what we need. If we need a police detail to follow, I'll talk with the police chief. If we need to have a bucket truck with, you know, hats with little orange flags on them, we'll get that, all right, to be able to do that. I mean, this is how we need to get things moving forward. But to point fingers and to say who's gonna
That's
do
right.
what is really.
And we did try that, you know, in 2018-19, we were on that road, we were trying to, it was a three-man band. We just didn't have the resources to pull all this together and try to get it done.
And you have now a roadway with no obstacles in front of you, and we will help you out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
So, having said that, as I'm the liaison, I can talk to Mr. Raposa in regards to, what we need to do to move forward, and if there's OSHA issues, I'm probably gonna have to have you talk with the Chief
I'll
Sartell.
talk with the fire, the police chief, and I don't know if the fire department still has their bucket truck. I think that might have some issues, so that might be out of service.
That was out of service when I asked back in 2018.
Yep.
And
And if we need to maybe work with somebody that is a tree person, that has a bucket truck, that has their OSHA certifications, we can use that as well, I'm understanding. As long as we follow what they have for protocols,
Right.
let's get her done, let's.
And the flag committee is more than happy to maintain, you know, bring the flags up to speed, have them in a pile ready to go. That was their main mission.
you know, I've heard from a couple of business people that do have bucket trucks that, you know, they ain't gonna point any fingers here, that, you know, have said that, you know, they've offered, but, oh, no, you can't do that, you know?
Well,
And
we
that-
don't have those obstacles,
We
so I
don't
wanna
have them
move
now,
forward.
so move forward. We'll let Chaz reach out first to the Parks and Cemetery. We'll find out the safety part. I can talk with the police chief, see if he flat out says, well, look, yeah, we'll have an officer follow you, such be life, and we just move on.
I did ask him before, and he was all for it, so.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
I've talked with him as well, so.
I also know that we have people who have put in volunteer response forms to be on flag committee. Did you have a question?
Well, sure, I can caveat, I can jump on that. I was going to be the volunteer coordinator for the flag committee. I was appointed, but then it was expired because
Yeah,
of
and then
COVID.
during COVID, my two.
So I do have volunteers that are on, that were supposedly listed, so we did have some. I have a book of the volunteers. I don't know if I can reach out to them and they can come back or not, if you need
Could you
that.
tell me your name? Because I only have
It's okay.
Todd Arsenal and Tubby Boucher listed with the town clerk.
Kim Gilberti, we were appointed.
But there should be four.
Lingia Nakati was appointed.
She turned in a resignation but said she had never been sworn in.
Which was because of
Well,
COVID. We never had a quorum, like, we were going to, we never had a quorum, we didn't have enough people show up, we tried to have volunteers, we sat here, we came here at least 3 or 4 times.
Paperwork
When we
was
got,
downstairs, it just.
when we got on the agenda, but it could never move forward, which is why we never moved forward.
Yeah, and
Like,
they have supplied agendas, but they have not been able to meet because of.
Again, which is why there's
Because
no.
there's no, but they have been trying to meet, I can verify that.
And there was no minutes because we could never have a meeting, so
Right.
that's why
But
there's.
we had,
These are on the
Zoom.
website,
Yes.
okay,
these are on the web,
There
but,
was also an issue getting on the website because we didn't have an IT person, so I personally went through a lot to get on the website, to post the agendas, to post the meetings with Todd. So there was a lot of roadblocks, not that we wanna go backwards, but we did try, but there's, and then my other question, which I was gonna have, was back to the flags. Do we need to vote on where to put the flags? Because the community has a big issue on where we're putting them, and if we can't have a meeting to have a vote, then we don't move forward because there isn't a vote on where to put the flags, so that's
Well,
also.
I think there's already poles, holders on certain poles in the center of town, some in the harbor.
A lot of
I mean-
civilians have very big opinions on whether they're broken, how many to, like, there's a lot of opinions on
well,
where they go.
here's the thing, what we can do is we can find the logistics with OSHA and get the police and, you know, Martians if we need to get them there, okay? Your goal then would be to set a date, meet, and come up with how you're gonna do that. You are the flag committee, you are going to be appointed and to do what the flag committee does, it's your decision. It's, you know, it wouldn't be our decision or
But
anything.
again, if we don't get public involvement and we don't get the votes or the quorum, we can't make a decision, so then they don't go up.
Right, what I'm saying is that your goal between now and the next time we meet
Sure,
is to have a meeting, post,
sure.
have a meeting, and in that meeting, that's when you guys will be
We
able
have a
to.
meeting Thursday.
Okay,
It's been posted. I'm hoping 22,000 people show up.
okay.
That's the best we can do.
okay,
And there
so,
were a
so
couple applications we came in, right, that I
we,
seen?
we received 3 volunteer response forms.
Can I have the names?
So Karen Clement, who is here,
Okay.
Awesome,
and
Perfect.
Bob Lowell
There
awesome.
you
is
go.
here, is here, is not here.
No, Bob's not here.
Okay, and Paul Smith.
Perfect.
I think Paul was last.
Are you Paul?
Paul,
Yeah,
Paul
You're
Smith.
Paul.
Yeah.
I couldn't read your volunteer response form, it's completely black when it came to me.
Townsend West.
Nail them down.
So, I guess my question is, do you want to be appointed? You can let me know that, and we would appoint, my next meeting for appointments is the 29th, but we could appoint sooner if need be,
We
I
could,
mean,
we could appoint during the,
during one of our work sessions.
we can do that?
So I guess, Paul and Karen, you need to let us know if you are interested in being appointed to the committee. And if you are, I would recommend attending the Thursday night meeting to see that everything is,
Stuff.
going forward. So, yes, go ahead.
I've done some legwork, actually back in 2018. It's not just OSHA that you have to deal with, it's actually because it's a state road. So, yes, you need a vehicle, you may not have to do a trail car, but you have to have the signs that say men working in a road, you know, or person working in the road. I suppose I can't say men now, just person. According to the town report, along with mowing our 3 cemeteries and line trimming, we have now started our own tree pruning with a used bucket truck. And that's the Cemetery and Parks Commission 2019 to 2020. So it'd be great if they were able to do that again. And even if we had to pay police detail, because you have to because it's a 4-hour detail, it would be nice to get it up before 4th of July. We have the Wall That Heals that's coming. It's the Vietnam Memorial Wall scaled down. I think because we have so many out-of-town people coming in, out-of-state people coming in, it would be nice to actually have the flags up. The flags traditionally have hung from Spalding to the Highway Department on 119. There shouldn't be any complaints with that happening. That's what we've had. They've had double flags, but I know they've tended to twist into one another. So I think the general public, even though they're not here tonight, will be happy to see at least a flag displayed on every pole. Back in 2018, there were 30 brackets that were bought. I don't know if they've been used or not, so we have the brackets. They were in the garage the day I was there back in 2018 in June, to go up on the poles that were missing the brackets. So those, if they haven't been used, Todd, those need to be found so we can get them up.
What garage were they in?
Right over
Right
here.
here.
Oh,
That's where the
the-
flags used to be
Yeah,
stored.
okay. Okay, so what I think we need from you, Todd, is who's on your committee. So after you meet on Thursday, let us know who is actually still on your committee. If people that aren't able to attend meetings,
As it stands
find
now,
out if they are still active and whether, if
Todd's the
not,
only one that shows up.
pardon me?
The only two active ones that on paper until 2025 is myself and Tubby Bushy.
And Tubby's still active?
On paper, yes.
On paper, no, he has to be active in
Never seen
person.
No, he comes to the meetings, but I mean.
Oh, he comes to the
We're
meetings.
both good till 2025, and the other members have
He means
expired.
that appointed and.
Appointed.
And,
Yeah,
yeah.
So-
and if you have expired,
Well, then why don't
you need
decide
to, you
just
know,
not sworn in?
I
You
don't,
just need to be sworn in.
No,
You
no,
know,
she's
expired.
been
the
expired.
appointment expired.
I was
So-
sworn in that
So
expired.
all my members have to be sworn back in.
So
Right.
if
So
you
get a
could,
list and
Yeah.
yeah, if you
bring it
could,
to us and just do
yeah,
it.
if you could let us know who
So
your
I'd like to
members
put 'em
are
on-
and what the appointment is. There is an appointment form somewhere.
Can we do that right here, right now?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
don't
if
we
you wanna
appoint-
just,
Why don't we appoint right now so that they can
So we
have a
have a
quorum?
because I didn't announce it at the beginning of the
Yeah,
meeting.
we can't just add, I don't
As
think,
an
we've already been
addition or
challenged on that.
deletion. What did I say? Discussion regarding the flag committee and their mission.
How about tomorrow,
We can appoint you tomorrow.
we can appoint tomorrow.
We have a meeting at
work
2:30.
session.
Can you appoint me, can you appoint him Thursday afternoon?
No, just tomorrow.
We
Tomorrow,
can
2:30.
appoint tomorrow and you guys need to be sworn in. That's the key.
Yes.
That is the big key.
Before your
Do
meeting on
that tomorrow, we have a
Thursday.
2:30 meeting,
Okay, so here's a sheet of paper now.
we can add it on,
Perfect.
we'll add the 3 names that we just gave you. Everyone will
Send
know
my
who
legal
they are.
notices to
Once we vote tomorrow, then go down, get sworn in to town clerk, you have your meeting Thursday night, move on. We're here to support you. There was so much concern about the flags, I think we need,
I agree, I don't disagree.
I don't wanna look backwards, don't wanna talk about nothing, let's move forward, get a good group together, and get it done.
Here's an appointment form.
And I'll call you and let you know when I find out from
If you
Roger.
could, grab this and put your names on it.
Well, they have, Chaz, I just gave,
We have the,
It's right here.
we have all
We
the
have
3
everybody?
forms.
Yeah, we have all
Here,
of
why don't you
them.
give them back to us, Todd, and we'll just use them,
Okay, I didn't
and
know
she
we had
can,
those.
yeah. we
And I'll
got
get
'em.
them on the agenda for tomorrow.
So here, there's all 3 of them, Bob Lowe, Lowell.
Yeah, I don't know, if
Okay.
they're still wanting to be on it though.
So you would have to be back here tomorrow before the town clerk?
No,
leaves?
you don't.
No, we will appoint you. You don't have to be at the meeting to be appointed.
Right, so we'll appoint you in our meeting and then you'll have to.
I have to issue you an appointment letter.
Right.
Do you,
But
And
don't we
I'll-
have to be sworn in order to vote?
If you want to.
Then
He
just,
has a meeting on Thursday, so we have to get sworn
well,
in
just
before
go,
Thursday.
yeah,
whatever.
Thursday
Yeah.
morning or Thursday, go to
It's
town
working.
clerk's office and get sworn in.
Yeah.
Right, that's
What
exactly.
time is
Now,
the
what
meeting
about
on
her name?
Thursday?
We don't have her name, so we have to,
Give
So
me
it'd
your
have to be
name.
before the
Kim,
office
K-I-M.
closes.
Gilberti, Gilberti.
As long as we have a quorum.
But it's a 5-member board, so we can't have extra people.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we have Tubby Boucher.
And you have Natalie Call too. Not Call,
She has also been expired,
Okay.
or excuse me.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right, does it?
that's not good. So the flag committee consists of a 5-member
It
board,
is a 5-member board.
all right, so who is active in your board? Who do you have that's active?
myself, Tubby, and Natalie. My sister was always there, and then we need one more.
We were always short one.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was hard to get 5 people.
Can we change it from a 5-person to a 6-person, or we have?
No, I think
Can't
No,
it's,
as long as,
That's a charter.
yeah.
It's terrible.
Can you have associates?
No,
Oh.
they're not on, it's not
In
in the
Tubby's
charter.
in 2024. Unfortunately.
So who is active? Who that have not expired? How many?
just 2 of us, myself and Tubby.
All right,
Oh,
so,
everybody else is expired.
But he
Yes.
never came to the meeting.
so if they've
he didn't
expired, he
show up.
hasn't redone it, so then,
No, he hasn't expired, we're the only ones.
Two of
There were
just
2.
Todd and
but
Yeah,
so now you
Todd
still,
and
then
Tubby.
3 more makes you 5, and that's what we have 3, right?
So give us 3 names.
Yeah, we have 3 names, 1, 2, 3, right there.
I know, we
Well, we got Bob Lowell
If
And
4
whoever
was
Paul
okay.
Smith is.
and Paul Smith.
Oh,
is
Paul
sitting right
Smith is
there.
here, so we have Paul, we have
Because you couldn't
Karen,
have a vote anyway.
and we have
Maybe 5.
Kim.
So we can have 4.
That was always good because if people don't agree on things.
Well, we got Bob Lowell, we got Karen, and we have Paul, so
And we
there's
have
3,
Kim.
and then Kim. There's 4,
But then you have Tubby and Todd, that makes sense.
That makes
Tubby
it
and
6.
Todd, that's 6.
Can't have 6.
You can
Um,
take me off if you don't need, if you don't need that many, I don't care.
Well,
No.
we don't wanna kick anyone
Well,
off,
I
we wanna
think
make
that-
it work.
I'll still be
Bob
there.
Lowell isn't here, so we won't appoint him.
The only thing I just want to throw a hit, I'm so happy to be part of this right now, especially this whole discussion tonight. I have to go to Ashland tomorrow and Thursday, a commitment for an employer, and, I have to figure out a way to get back here at what day, at what time, with the town,
Town clerk leaves at 4,
Yeah.
and what day is that?
Thursday. Well,
Thursday.
Thursday
I
or Thursday,
plan-
tomorrow or Thursday. You can
So
get
any
some-
day between
Thursday, the
tomorrow
late
and
fee.
Thursday before the meeting,
Right,
is, if I get here for 4 o'clock.
yes.
If you get here tomorrow by 4 o'clock, provided I have issued the appointment letter.
Oh, yes,
Isn't
okay.
there, isn't town clerk late on Thursdays?
You know, just-
Used to be, I don't know if she is anymore. Let me see
Because
if
if
I can
that's the
find
case-
it.
I'll definitely be here tomorrow before 4,
Okay, so,
as long as I don't get stuck on.
When is
midnight or
Tubby's
something.
expired, 25?
2024.
So,
How do you-
I don't see anything that says her office is closed.
Just give me the 3 and then I'll work it out Thursday and we'll go round and round with who's here.
well, we have to make an appointment, so
Give me these 3.
them
Okay,
3.
I'll
Give
give
me
you
these
those
three.
And Bob
three.
Lowell, we won't appoint Bob Lowell, we'll just say that we're full for now, and that's okay, that's good. You good with that?
Veronica, do you actually have my copy of my,
Yes,
okay, you do.
yes, it's
There's
right
Another
here.
one in my truck.
The real, someone
I can
picked it
change
up.
this up Thursday
Yeah, that's
after the
okay.
fact.
Then you guys can deal with it, we'll put the 3 right here, you and Tubby. We'll give you all the support you need. The
So
town
we'll be up
looks
for
beautiful.
our 4th of July?
The flags look beautiful when they're up.
Yep.
A lot of people comment on them. I mean, I know there's flags in the harbor, and I don't know if, I heard Mr. Shepherd takes and puts those up himself. Is that true?
I don't know. Okay,
No, Todd, do we have 45
In the
flags?
harbor?
They look great, private citizen does that.
Are there
Yeah.
45 flags available?
Mr. Shepherd does all of them that you see in the harbor, they put them up and take them down
Okay, I
themselves.
kind of pulled yesterday.
You count
all
them
right, so I think we're all set then. I will add these appointments to tomorrow's,
And the,
agenda at the beginning, so that we can get our flags up for, 4th of July. You
Okay.
guys should know that you have a budget of 7,500 that expires on the 30th.
This one.
And then you have 2,000, but you
So if
have
you need
flags
some
already. Do you
brackets
have
or
flags
something.
already?
We do have some flags, and we're gonna need some stuff, but yeah. It
Yeah.
won't be $7,500 worth, but
But you better, you only got 2 weeks.
Well, the thing is, you buy as much as you can, because the budget's gonna be $2,000 or less probably the rest of our lives.
For n-
Well, no, we only lowered that down because it was, nothing was
No, but
going
that's
on.
if
What's
the-
going
sorry, if you
on.
have
And
money
we
in the budget
needed money
now,
to
you-
balance the budget for the
you-
community.
I know, but if you have the money in the budget now, then you buy the flags ahead, the poles, the brackets, the things that you
Correct.
need for the next 5 years, just in
Correct.
case, cause you know how all the budgets run,
Mhm.
you just gotta go buy it,
Use it
right?
Or
or
lose it.
lose it.
And then if Parks and Cemetery can't do, what needs to be done, then hopefully we'll find a tree service that's able to do it.
Well, which is why we had the budget, because we didn't know if we had to pay someone. which is
Right,
we
and
never
that's
did.
why I'm saying that if we get it booked now, whatever those funds are expended, you can use it out of that budget.
Mhm.
And we need to get it done before
And
the
you
end of the
talk
month.
to Roger
I'll talk to
right
Roger
away,
tomorrow.
see if
yep.
if they have the bucket truck,
Okay.
Okay, it's a bucket truck, fire truck, or a police car, how does it go up?
I don't know what, I don't wanna say, well, let's just do what Ashby does or whatever, because it's not the same, but I don't know how Ashby does it. 119 Main Street, Ashby, flag, 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 flag.
Excuse me, Ashby didn't have the town hall that Townsend had. We opened up a can of worms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much
you.
for coming. We'll
Thank
make
you.
the appointments
Thank you.
tomorrow. Good luck. I hope everybody gets to the meeting on Thursday and that we have flags up in a couple weeks.
Perfect.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much for coming.
appreciate everyone's help and support.
Yep.
Sorry,
All right, moving on. 5.1.2, these were the two additions. They're our only last thing. The interim accountant contracts, what I wanted you guys to do was take a look at them.
I read them.
I read
There-
them.
And
Here, yeah.
there were two questions, I believe, on them. Well, let me just go quickly through it for you, all right? My SharePoint has decided it's on strike, it's the end. All right, that's it. All right, selectmen's meetings, June 6th, June 15th.
And they have the deputy town accountant document coming up, hopefully.
Okay,
If it doesn't freeze again. Ha, we got it,
you got it?
Richard says, and.
Okay, so
Mhm.
interim accountant. So I asked both of them to give, there are some things that are in yellow that we need to look at.
I see. We on Richard one first? Is that one we're doing? The
That's the first one,
All right,
yes.
yep, I see
And,
that.
he is our interim deputy town accountant.
Mhm.
All right, so, reading through here, term and termination, well, let me see before that. There are whereases, all right, beginning June 16th, the town hereby appoints to serve as interim deputy town accountant until the last day of employment. And effective June 2nd is more fully set forth herein pursuant to and in accordance. Hereby accepts appointment. I think that June,
16th.
it should be effective June 16th, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I need to edit that. All right, so moving down, we'll perform, it's all about the duties. Term and termination, it's 7 days either way, notice. If you guys are good with that, I'll
I'm
remove
good with
it.
that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm taking out the yellows after we're done.
Okay, I'm good.
The pay rate, are we good with that? It was
Let me get down.
42 or 43 that we were paying the former accountant.
Mhm.
That was her regular pay rate. There are no benefits involved
With this, right?
with this.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah,
And this
that's
is
fine.
8 hours per week.
And it is, okay, so I had asked for one to be 8 to 12 and one to be 10 to 16 hours per week. The
Mhm.
deputy had the more hours. But Kate, in writing this, so for an estimated amount of time of 8 hours per week, at hours to be determined as needed.
Mhm.
Additional hours may be required to properly perform the duties for which the accountant will be compensated as stated herein on an hourly basis. So the thought was each of them 1 day a week minimum.
Yeah.
And then we can add another day, as opposed to putting a range in. It was just go minimum of 1 day per week for
Or at
both
least
of
have 2
them.
full days
Council,
coverage.
council suggested that,
Council did
and
these.
I will go with that. I'm okay
I
with
had
that.
started editing it to put it in, and then it became complicated, because if you have a maximum, but what if you have to go over?
Yeah.
You know, so this is a minimum of 8 hours per week.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yep.
They waive any rights, so B is no benefits,
Mhm.
and they are 1099 workers. So,
Perfect.
And they're bonded?
indemnified and bonded, the town shall bear the full cost.
Okay.
So other terms and conditions of employment. Subject to this agreement, the board, after discussion, shall fix any such other terms and conditions as it may determine from time to time. So this gives us the ability to
Change it.
change things that need changed.
Yeah.
Residence in the town of Townsend is not a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
Any decision of the Board of Selectmen hereunder shall be by majority vote. If the interim, well, this is not very nice.
Where are you?
It's very not optimistic. D, if the interim dies
What
during
section
the
are you
term.
in?
Section 7D, hopefully that will not happen.
Ties during, who put that in there?
Town council wrote the contract. It is expressly understood the decision not to appropriate sufficient funds to support the compensation shall not be construed as a dismissal requiring hearing or trigger the removal procedures under, and further that no severance payments shall be required.
So if he had time coming, you know, for 2 days, 3 days, that's what I think it's saying. You know,
Right.
we'd have to pay him, because we're not benefiting him at all,
Right.
Correct.
right?
That is
So-
correct.
Yeah.
So, I requested a resume from both for our files,
Yeah.
and I will put the address that was provided for me. I have not yet given these contracts to the candidates,
Okay.
but I will send them after the meeting tonight or early tomorrow morning.
I make a motion that you send a contract with changes that we discussed to Richard Saracen,
Saracen.
as, this is the interim deputy town accountant.
Second.
With term? Well, we don't have to go into that, we're just,
No, the
just for
term
you-
is.
for you, no, this is just for you to send the contract to
Yeah,
him.
it's just to approve the contract with the changes so
Yep.
that it can be sent to him.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so that's that one. The other one is exactly the same, just with different names, and the appointment here is as interim town accountant, and I do have to put I didn't put a
Under this agreement, you need a June 16th date.
16th, yeah, I see that I missed that, all right. And I need to, it's more fully, right there in. I need to change that June 2nd to June 16th. In
Correct.
section 1A.
Yeah.
All right, same 7 days notice, one
is
way or
okay.
the other.
Yeah.
So that takes care of that, and it is again for the 8 hours with the same, to be determined by the interim town accountant and the
Mhm.
board, and as needed, additional hours may be required, for which they will be compensated. The hourly rate is the same for both. I'm looking for the hourly rate on this.
They're gonna be 1099 employees.
1099.
Okay,
Oh yeah, it's there, okay.
okay.
So, we are good.
Bonding is set.
Yeah.
Indemnification, where is that? There it is. Okay.
So that is the, contract.
Yeah.
So I
Um,
will send it to them.
You gotta make a motion on this one,
I will
right?
move,
Yes.
I move that we send the agreement to Terry Walsh as interim town accountant with the changes that we just discussed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, thank you very much.
Moving
And-
forward.
And we'll hopefully have people in by the end of the week
Yep.
for accountant.
That'll be nice.
Just in time for payroll.
Anthony has that all under control.
Nice.
So that's more for the pile of bills that are on the desk in there. and
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sort of thing, so,
I do have one thing under 5.3 communications.
mhm.
In
I have two things, but go
in-
ahead.
No.
Did we, oh, we still have one more, we still have 5.1.3.
Oh, yeah, that's
Before we get
right.
to
Summer rec.
communication.
Summer
Okay.
So this is the lease for summer rec. It is currently, it was approved that we, at town meeting,
Mhm.
special town meeting, Article 5, I think it was,
Yep.
that we go forward with the venue for summer rec.
Mm-hmm.
So Emmy has worked on the lease, and it is currently in town council's hand for review.
Okay.
And so what I would like to do is, well, you haven't seen it yet,
No.
right?
I haven't seen any of it.
Okay, so I think at this point, I will just say, it needs to be signed by June 30th. So I will, I
Once
really hate to
council-
ask you to,
Well, it's been on the agenda and it's now open, so you can just put it in, that we all can look at it once town council reviews it.
okay, so,
And then we can vote on it whenever we,
all right, perfect.
but as long as we've opened it up, so it's now, we're able to share it, so.
All right,
Now
so
we
when
can talk
town
about it.
council has the lease agreement ready, I'll forward it to both of you and put it in SharePoint
Okay.
And then put it up
for
here.
review. And then that's that.
Yep.
We'll vote on it at one of our meetings.
That's, sounds like a deal. Under communications, I would like to, take an individual off within a mailbox and add a conservation at townsendmass.gov.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Do what?
I wanted to be able to, there's an active directory with a domain account. I wanna take a mailbox off and just have it go to conservation. And then, we can put conservation as a group until we figure out what's going on with that.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's do that. Do we need a motion for that, or can you just do it?
Whatever pleases the board.
I'll
Let-
make the motion that we change the,
Well, you can just say that to make changes to.
make changes to the conservation at townsendma.gov
Yep.
mailbox.
All right,
I second that.
all those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, the two communication things that do we have any reports from board liaisons?
I do not.
I do not. All right, so, two things that, Xfinity has sent a note saying that they are, regional sports network. We are committed to keeping you and our customers informed about changes to Xfinity TV services. As you may know, many sporting events and broadcasts were put on hold during the pandemic. We have been working hard to recover the fees regional sports networks charged us for those sporting events and broadcasts during the hiatus to pass back to our customers. We are currently notifying customers in your community of a courtesy adjustment related to these fees. This adjustment reflects what has been committed to us by the regional sports networks in your area to date. We will continue to work to recover additional funds where possible. We are committed to giving our customers 100% of what we receive. For more information, visit xfinity.com/sportsadjustments, and feel free to contact Gregory Franks at cablecomcast.com should you have any questions. So there's that one. And I think there was one more in here. Let me go back. Oh, ZBA legal notice. I did mess that one up. Okay. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, and the Townsend zoning bylaw, the Townsend Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, June 30th, 2021, at 6:45 PM at Memorial Hall, 272 Main Street, on the application of Kevin Smith and Kenneth Tully under zoning bylaw, Section 145-24, 145-64, and 145-66. The applicant is requesting a variance from the driveways and entrances bylaw to construct a common driveway entrance serving 3 residential dwellings within 500 feet of an existing common driveway entrance serving 101, 103, and 105 Warren Road. The property is located on Warren Road, Assessors Map 32, Block 2, Lot 0, in the Residential A District. Parties wishing to speak in support of or in opposition to this application may do so in writing prior to the hearing, or at the hearing in person, or represented by an agent or attorney. Copies of this application are available for review in the offices of the town clerk and zoning board during business hours. William Cadigan, Chairman, Zoning Board of Appeals, and this was advertised in the Groton Herald on June 11th and will be advertised in the Groton Herald on June 18th.
Okay.
And that is it. So, I think that's all we
No, I have one more motion.
Oh, go ahead.
I move that we review and sign payroll and bills payable warrants out of session.
Second,
All those in favor?
yes,
Yes.
Yes. And our next meeting is tomorrow at 2:30.
2:30,
The next regular meeting is Tuesday, June 29th.
no
And,
Monday meeting.
We will probably have a Monday and perhaps a Wednesday next week. And that is,
I move that we adjourn.
Second,
all those in favor of adjourning at 9:53
3.
3,
PM.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone.
Well, thanks, everybody. That was a